Do we really need more midsole foam? Let's discuss. Hey viewers, EDDBUD here. So I've tested out over 100 running shoes over the last 2 years. Many of these have got quite considerable midsole foam stacks. I think a trend in the last 12 months has been to try and maximise the midsole stack as much as possible, absolutely regardless of whichever foam that the company are using. I mean, this has resulted in some shoes being over 40mm in heel stack. In my book, that's a platform shoe. I mean, you could call them skyscrapers, couldn't you? Gigante, Riza, or Gromny, you get the picture. Just giant midsole stacks. Before we get into the main part of the video, guys, do remember to hit that subscribe button and click the bell below for notifications of when I launch those new videos for you. I think there's been a steady increase as well over the last sort of 2 or 3 years. Pretty much all started off with that Vaporfly 4%. To get a picture of that increase, I've got a load of the shoes together from the last sort of 18 months or so and researched into the heel stack for a UK size 8.5. That's pretty much the one that the World Athletics Association deem the shoe that must be measured. I'm not sure why. I think men's shoes it's around about a size 10 now, in the UK at least. Maybe overall it's an 8.5 or something, I don't know. Across the whole world, perhaps that's the average. It might just be that they just sort of went, yeah, 8.5, that'll do. So, to get some idea of where we are right now, here are some examples. The Vaporfly 4%. So this one apparently has a 35.7mm stack in the heel and around about 24 in the forefoot. Now the next percent seems to be a little bit different. Depending what size you got, it seems to vary quite a lot. The Alphafly is apparently 40mm in the heel. I'll tell you that my UK size 11 is quite a bit more than that. Interestingly enough, Nike quote the 8.5 as a 39mm heel stack, but everyone else says it's 40. Nike do suggest that a men's UK size 10 in the Invincible run is 36.6mm in the heel. Really? It feels a lot more than that to me, certainly. It's right up there with the Alphafly in my size. I think the next percent, Alphafly and the Invincible run, are pretty similar in terms of the heel stack, though I actually think that the Alphafly and the next percent are actually more stable shoes. I know that sounds really odd to say that, but the Invincible run's just a squash fest. How about the Tempo next percent? Remember when they unveiled that and everyone got in a big hoo-ha? Everyone really did get quite upset about that. I did find a measurement there of 45mm. I don't know whether that's the case. It never really appeared to be that high to me. Maybe with the React in the heel there, it fooled me into thinking that it was a bit lower. But it's certainly right up there in terms of skyscrapers. How about some other manufacturers? The classic Adizero Adios 4 from Adidas. A minimal racing machine. Only 27mm that one in the heel. 17 up front, so a 10mm drop. It's a race shoe, isn't it? The Adizero Adios 4. Quite a difference to the Adizero Pro, which was released last year. That's 32mm in the heel and 22mm in the forefoot. So even Adidas adding on a few millimeters of stack there to a shoe that's still reasonable. You know, it's not massively high. Then of course there's the fans' favourite SL20. That's 31mm in the heel. So almost identical to the Adizero Pro from that aspect. Top of the bunch though, the Adizero Adios Pro, reportedly 40mm in the heel for a UK size 8.5. There's a lot of millimeters there. You can actually sort of see this one as well because you can just about make out the insole there. So you can pretty much measure it with a ruler. About an 8mm drop in this one, I think, 31mm in the forefoot. So again, we're seeing some increases there in terms of the midsole stack, even from a more traditionally anchored brand like Adidas. A shoe that I liked for the supposedly minimal stack, or to me it just felt like I was a little more connected to the ground, was the Reebok Run Fast 2. A 10mm drop in that shoe, and there was a 31mm heel stack. The Streak 7, lowest yet. 26mm in the heel. Let's go lower. The Reebok Run Fast Pro, only 20mm in the heel. Lots of examples there for you guys, but numbers are numbers at the end of the day. none of this really accounts for the midsole foams used in those different shoes. I've got to be honest, I think that midsole foam material is actually the key to all of this. Now, I recently ran 2 efforts which I want to draw attention to for this video today. Both were quicker paced long runs. That time trial of 13.1 miles, the half marathon distance. Used the Adizero Adios Pro for that one. And then 8 miles yesterday in the Nike Vaporfly Next Percent Ekiden. So both around 6 minutes 50 through to about 7 minutes per mile average. The subsequent days after that, my legs have felt absolutely fine. I felt pretty good. You know, I knew I put some effort in, but still feeling pretty fresh. Both of those runs were in very high stack shoes. Certainly some of the tallest shoes in my collection. Why is it that I feel so great after some higher paced runs, at least for me anyway, yet I tend to feel quite impeded and sort of lose my rhythm when I run slower paces? You know, things like the Clifton 7 just didn't work for me. I didn't really fancy running faster paces in the Zoomfly 3, it just didn't work. So what's the difference here? Apparently there's only 29mm of heel stack in that Clifton 7. I just find it tough to believe. Those shoes just felt odd to me, very jarring and clunky. It felt like I was fighting against the shoe whenever I went out in those. And I was able to adjust my running form constantly. It was always on my mind. It removed my enjoyment of the whole activity. I just couldn't focus on enjoying the run at all. I think it's an EVA variant that Hoka use in the Clifton 7, but in the Zoomfly 3 it's React, which is Nike's own special concoction. It's a proprietary one, there's very little information about what's actually in it. But then again, on the other hand, I love the Infinity Run and also the Legend React 3 Shield as well. Certainly at lower paces, but they always felt I could just run the way I always want to run. I mean, those shoes have both got some larger stacks there, but they felt ideal at a daily recovery type pace. I believe that my enjoyment in running comes from when everything clicks, when it just feels natural and unimpeded. I felt great. I had a big smile on my face when I was running that half marathon time trial, and I was way into my threshold heart rate zone. It shouldn't have been that much fun, but it felt enjoyable. I was just running the way that I run. I didn't have to think about it. And that 8-mile effort yesterday was wonderful. Yet at times when I've gone out, you know, to enjoy nature on a nice summer's day, certain shoes have just taken away that enjoyment. And they tend to be those higher stack shoes at easier paces. That smile just disappeared because things just felt unnatural and vastly detracted from my running experience. So to conclude, I think it's down to a few factors. It's not just the heel stack. I think some foams just work really well when we've got nice generous heel stacks and widths. Other foams just don't work so well. We've seen certain companies utilise some of their proprietary foams and just stick a carbon plate in there and yeah, people will buy it. Well, no, they won't, will they? Why is it people still snap up the Next Percent or the Vaporfly 4% Flyknit? Why do people really like the Endorphin Pro? They seem to have got things just about right there. That balance between the stack of the shoe, the compressive foam, and the carbon plate. Look at the Hyperion Elite. That shoe was DOA. The Elite 2 is a bit of an improvement there, but I still don't feel it's the finished article. I think it's more down to what fits your running style. Certain people just seem to run with a more natural sort of style, unimpeded, when they've got a little bit less foam underneath their foot. As a lighter runner, certainly, I feel that more foam's almost weighing me down at times. Certainly the denser foams anyway. But I think as with anything in life, it's a little bit down to preference. And people have their favourites, don't they? I certainly do. I think those high cushion shoes can sometimes feel like sponges almost. It feels a little bit like you're putting loads of energy into them, certainly on lower paced runs, and you're not really getting an awful lot back. I think sometimes a shoe acts as a mirror of our efforts. Some midsoles returning a little bit more energy perhaps than others. I think some shoes might in fact work against us if we don't use some specific function or facility of the shoe. There's certain features that just don't seem to add anything. But as always, I do believe that having a more consistent training plan, running to enjoy the training process as well, along with eating well and getting some more quality sleep, I think that's got a much bigger effort than any shoe's ever going to have. I think upper comfort for me is probably one of the most important factors. I think that can literally make or break a piece of footwear's effectiveness and efficiency. I think with all of that in mind, we got to look to the future, and will some of our favourites of 2020 be replaced by new iterations that improve upon them in various different ways? Is adding more foam one of those things? I'm not so sure. Let me know what your thoughts are about this ever-increasing midsole stack situation down in the comments. A quick musical interlude for you. I noticed over on Instagram that Johnny Marr's been working on a new album, and that's a very exciting thing for me. That took me back to his 2013 album, The Messenger. Not a bad track on this one. There's some real winners. I particularly like track 4, which is called Upstarts. It's almost like a Ramones type riff, but with some off-kilter sort of guitar parts, and it's just a real driving kind of tune. Really up for it track. Newtown Velocity is a particularly good one. Johnny Marr's guitar work on that one is right up there. I think what makes this album is the great band that Johnny Marr's got behind him. Drums, bass, another guitarist who also plays keyboards as well when they play live. Absolutely outstanding. It's not all sort of driving guitar parts on here as well, there's some really nice melodic pieces too. The title track, The Messenger, is one of those tracks. It just sort of washes over you. It's a really nice production to all of the tracks on this album. Do go and check it out. I think it's probably one of Johnny Marr's best. This album's called The Messenger. Okay, thanks for sticking with me to the end of the video today, guys. I very much appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, please hit that subscribe button and click the bell also for notifications of when I launch those new videos. And you know, it really helps us out here on the channel if you give this video a thumbs up like, and also share it with your running buddies. My name's EDDBUD, and I'll be seeing you